Box of skulls leads to shock and awe. In my free time I like to draw. One subject of interest is skulls. Usually, I have to search the web for images of skulls. But I know a biologist, so I called them up and asked if I could borrow a cast. Not real skull. They said that they never loan out a skull because they will forget who they loaned it to and it just disappears. Online they go for $300 to $2K. She had the ones that are not cut open above the eyes so you can open into the brain cavity that are obviously for study. They look more real as they were cast from real skulls and thus have some of the character and damage of the originals. I think they are rather sturdy plastic with a little heft. They are all two pieces with a detached mandible. In addition to human skulls, she had other mammals including apes and monkeys that have fangs. Strangely, she said she would be willing to loan out all of the skulls and that way they will not forget who has what. I agreed, and grinning I took a huge box of skulls home. My wife saw the box and asked me what was in it. I said, "Skulls." She said, "No really. What is in the box?" Quote, she did not believe me. I can imagine bringing a big box of Legos a colleague's family was passing on or something like that, and upon being asked saying, "Skulls," or some other random improbable item just to be funny. Because who would ever have expected a box of skulls? I said, "Skulls." She got mad and said, "Fine, don't tell me." Quote, now at this point I have had my fun. She was indeed surprised by my answer, and I could have filled in the details of how and why I got the skulls and when I had to return them. But I was told not to tell her, so I did that. I complied stubbornly and with perhaps a bit of malice because her extreme reaction surprised me. And I freeze up and become defensive when surprised because of my childhood. She grew up with older brothers and they were always teasing her growing up. You can be sure her orange juice had gummy worms in it. She has a short fuse for foolery. On the other hand, I was the oldest with a stern and overly firm stepmother, and I learned to do as I was told to the letter, lest I face the consequences which go beyond the scope of this post. I put on stubbornness just as she wanted an explanation. She asked again and I said that I had answered the question, and besides, I had just been told not to say any more. I think we were both a bit steamed. She didn't get an explanation because I stuck by her command to not say anything. She pondered for a while and I didn't see when she slipped to another part of the house to get closer to the box. When she was near it, she pounced on it and opened it up. I didn't even see her. Without context or explanation, she got an eyeful of scale-sized skulls. I saw her talking to herself. He said, "Skulls. These are skulls. A box full of skulls." It is kind of a moment of shock. The skulls were not neatly stacked, just jumbled mandibles and craniums. Of course, this was not what I had imagined when I came home with the box of skulls. I rather wanted the enthusiasm and wonder that I had, having scored a drawing experience that would be difficult to have in normal circumstances. I was excited. Well, it was botched. But I explained the details after she had found that I had not been sarcastic. We recovered gradually and it all kind of played out again when the kids came home from school. Edit. Part 2. What happened with the kids? By request. They got surprised by the box of skulls too. My daughter scheduled a scary movie night with friends. My son buried a monkey skull, smaller, in veggie sticks. The salty snack ones that look like French fries. My wife was like, "Oh no you don't. We don't do that here." During the film, Hush, one of the girls pulled out a monkey mandible with fangs. It was dark but a surprise to everyone. Much screaming. Turns out my wife only removed the cranium. The mandible was still in there, buried in veggie sticks. No one knew. It turned into a sleepover. Fine. They were up later than me. I had to work, so I got up. No shower. No nothing. Just get out of the house. On the way out I noticed they arranged all the skulls in a row, perfectly pairing each cranium with its mandible. That is a difficult task. As I get a handful of cereal to munch on the way out the door, I'm inspired. I put an ODO in each eye socket. I'm out to work. I heard later they thought no one had been downstairs before them, and they were certainly last to bed, so they could not explain the cereal in the eye sockets. It was terrifying. Much screaming. When Halloween came around, one of them dressed as an OTO. Enter Brad Pitt. What's in the box? GIF here. I thought I was clever, hiding a giant rubber spider in a box for a roomie to find as he was unpacking in his new place. I am told the screams were soul-shattering. This is so much better. I brought home a box that had a copper rod sticking out of it, and I told my wife to not look in the box. She wanted to see though. She was used to my shenanigans, so when I pulled out this https imager.com/gallery/dkbhvlm, she just asked, "How much are you going to make on that?" I bought them from a doctor's estate and sold the skull to a surgeon in Australia. The brain is real and was preserved in wax and formaldehyde about 120 years ago. It is obviously a male brain. That's great. Now you can take a bunch of photos to have your own reference portfolio before you return them. I used to do a lot of urban exploration when I was in university. In particular of school buildings that were disused. The biology department had just moved to a brand new shiny building and was almost done moving. So we decided to check out the old department in the soon-to-be demolished building. We wandered around the rooms, found some old tools and such. The most exciting thing seemed to be a giant aquarium full of the live beetles that eat the flesh off bones. My partner was about ready to leave, but I protested, saying we hadn't explored everything yet, and walked into another room. Inside that room was a few old lab Bunsen burners and the like, and a large cardboard box. I went over to the cardboard box, looked inside, and it was filled with human skulls. Real ones. Probably 50 of them. I was momentarily tempted to take one, or all, but thought better of it. Memento mori. I could see my wife reacting exactly like this. No crossbones? This is so funny. I'd totally bring home a random box of skulls. Poor Yorick. This is hilarious. Kind of disappointed that I didn't get a single link to a sketch of a skull. But I understand if you want to separate socials or just not post the art. This was a masterpiece to the very last word. Well done. Oh, this ticks all the boxes. I would have loved to be a fly on the wall here. I saw her talking to herself. He said skulls. These are skulls. A box full of skulls. You can't leave us without part 2. What happened with the kids?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.